Every summer Top 100. Every summer Top 100. He's got a voice that's really the bomb. He'll make a choice that'll aggravate Tom. I hate to spoil it, but when all's said and done, Merchant of Venus gonna be number one.
This is the Dice Tower Con library.
I mean, I know it was a little bit wiggly on the first day. I don't know.
It's getting bigger because there's this many more people here. Those people are all lining up to sign up for various events. I'm having a great time so far. It's Dice Tower Con 2017, but you are here to watch the top 100, and it's time for number 60 to 51.
60 is Imperial.
Number 60, I almost dropped it, is at its heart a stock game. You are ultimately acquiring shares in various city-states, which you then translate into victory points based on how well that particular city-state has done during the course of the game. It is a MacGertz Rondel game. You've got the circular action track that you then move along a certain number of spaces and actually take actions with the territory you control, and you only control the territory if you have the best stock presence in it. So it's actually possible in Imperial to not have control of a city-state for a little while, and you sort of bide your time, collect some money, wait for a chance to strike, and jump back into the fray. But when you are in control of a city-state, you can attack, you can build up forces, you can use your factories to build more troops, and this is all represented on the Rondel action track. You can't necessarily attack twice without spending significant. You can spend some of your own funds. You as a player have your own funds, and then the city-state, the country, has funds, which then can be spent to do things. But you can spend money to move farther around that track than you're normally allowed to. You pay out stocks or dividends to your stockholders, your shareholders, and you tax your territories in order to earn money going into those coffers. There's a delicate balance in bringing money in, sending money out, keeping your stockholders happy. Otherwise, they might try and take control of your particular territory. It's a tricky game and can be frustrating if you don't have control of something for a little while. But I still really enjoy the challenge. Imperial, my number 60.
59. Pika Pika. Airlines Europe.
Number 59 is another stock game, one of the more pure stock games. Airlines Europe, which was an iteration of Union Pacific, which was an iteration of Airlines. All of them by Alan Moon. In this game, you are acquiring stock shares in various airlines and also taking actions to increase the footprint of those airlines to make those stocks more lucrative, worth more points. But others may be just biding their time to play stock to take away that majority from you. There's also a sort of a global, I still think of it as the Union Pacific shares, but there's a global one that you can spend money on, that everybody can jump in on, and big payout stock company. Airlines Europe streamlines a lot of the stuff from Union Pacific. For a while I was a holdout, and I was like, no, my Union Pacific is the better version. I'm going to stick with that one. It's the one I learned. And then I played this one, and yeah, UP went out the door. It's a much more streamlined, easier to grasp. It takes some of the crunchier elements of Union Pacific and just smooths them all out for a very nice experience and a great entry into the stock game genre. It's my number 59, Airlines Europe.
58. Spyfall.
Number 58 is Spyfall. This box, it's kind of hard to see, but it's a little banged up. The reason it's banged up is because this has gone to a lot of places. I've carried this around for a while. In Spyfall, this is a party game for up to, I believe, 8 players? Yeah, up to 8. Everybody but one player is dealt a card that says this is where you are. You're at a casino, you're at the beach, you are on an ocean liner, something like that. But one player is dealt a card that says they're the spy. They don't know where they are. And then begins a round of questioning. You take turns asking questions of different players. So what's the weather like where we are? What are you wearing today? How do you feel about what you're doing? And the people who know where they are trying to answer honestly to let everybody else know that they know where they are. But they're not trying to reveal too much information because the spy is listening. And the more the spy learns from the answers, the more they can blend in with their answers. And ultimately, when it's all over, you can stop it and stop for a vote and say, I accuse so-and-so for being the spy. But if time runs out, you get one vote, and if the spy has successfully hidden, then they win. Also, if they're identified and can name where they are, they also win. So you have to be a little tricky and circumspect in your answers, but not too tricky because then everyone thinks you're the spy. Jason Levine was, whenever I play this with him, he tries to be so tricky in letting everybody else, he knows what he knows, but he doesn't want to let anybody know. He just ends up looking like the spy, and everybody goes, you're the spy. He's like, no, I'm not the spy. He wasn't the spy. Anyway, Spy Falls, number 58.
57. Now don't make me say it. Fine. Blood Rage.
Number 57 is Blood Rage, or more accurately, Blood Rage, if you want to follow Mr. Eric Lang's example. Blood Rage is an extremely thematic area control and drafting game. You're playing various Norse god factions, and ultimately you're trying to earn points by dying gloriously in battle. And you do this over several rounds. You are drafting cards, which you then play in subsequent rounds to take over your opponents in various areas, to battle them, to bring more powerful forces onto the board. You can acquire these mythical beasts, sea dragons, and Norse gods that have special powers that slam onto the board. There's all sorts of expansions and ridiculousness. Look at these figurines. I mean, that incredibly detailed figures. There's a shot here that our friends at the Shut Up and Sit Down podcast took. You know, you can see these guys. This looks like a Dudes on a Map, a Marathrash game, but it has a real nice engine underneath it, with the card drafting and the area control, and there's a lot of rhythm to get. There's some resource management as you spend your resources each round. You sort of reset that income and do it again. When do you bring out the more powerful figures? You know that if you killed somebody's sea serpent in one round, that thing's going to be back in the subsequent round at some point. You don't know. So there's just a lot of crunchy, delicious crunchiness to Blood Rage, which is my number 57. Blood Rage.
56. Ticket to Ride.
You knew Ticket to Ride was going to show up at some point. Number 56, this is the Markland edition, which adds passengers into the mix. My favorite, really, of all the iterations, but any of them is a winner. I sort of step away from this for a little while, it doesn't hit the table, and then somebody asks, a non-gamer asks, can you bring over one of those games that you like so much? And this one always works, because it's so dead simple to explain. You draw new cards, you play cards, or you draw new tickets that tell you where to go. And you see the light in their eyes as they start to realize, oh yeah, there's something to this. I'm enjoying this. Or their eyes light up because they're so enraged that you just stole their route. Yeah, that happens too. Ticket to Ride, an excellent gateway game, and my number 56.
55. Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. Yes! Wait, what?
Number 55 is a new addition to the list, and one of my favorites of 2016, Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. It's a cooperative deck-building game that closely mirrors the books of J.K. Rowling, although they can't say books inside the box for some weird copyright reasons. The games are separated into Game 1 through 7, and each game reveals more stuff, more cards you can buy, sometimes new game mechanisms. The game gets harder. If you're playing just Game 1, it's a dead simple deck builder. It uses 2 currencies, attack power, and money, and you acquire tokens representing these currencies as you play cards. You then spend these tokens to attack bad guys, and to acquire more cards. If you've only played Book 1, you will think this is a very simple game and won't be that interested. In fact, the rules even say, if you are familiar with deck building games and co-op games, just jump to Game 3. Add some more elements to it, make it a little more difficult, you'll be fine. Playing with my kids, though, we started from Book 1 and worked our way all the way through. We have defeated Book 6. We had to stop on Game 7 because there are significant plot spoilers for Book 7, or Movie 7 and 8, in there, and they just haven't read that far. We've only read up to Book 4. So, I mean, that's sort of our problem, that's not the game's problem. The game is fantastic. I can't wait until the expansion is in my hands. It adds some creatures, adds Luna Lovegood into the mix, but the kids and I have had a delightful time combating the forces of evil in Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. My number 55.
54. Valley of the Kings.
I don't have a box to show you for number 54, Valley of the Kings, because I now have the whole game in one of these quiver units, which are great for carrying card games around. Valley of the Kings comes in 3 different flavors. There's 3 different sets that are standalone, but then you can add them together, and so that's what I've done. In this little section right here, that's Valley of the Kings, and I've got the rule books and everything in here. In Valley of the Kings, it is a deck builder that you are attempting to make sets of cards in order to earn points, but you don't actually earn those points until you have entombed those cards. So you've got them in your hand, they give you some sort of ability, some power, some usefulness, but at some point there's a mechanism where you can entomb cards, usually 1 per turn, but other cards can let you do more, and they go into the tomb, they're out of your deck, and now they can earn you points. And there are different color sets of these cards, and the more of a particular set you have, the more points they will be worth. But you also have to entomb only unique cards, so if you have 2 of the same card, that's not worth any additional points in your tomb. And you acquire the cards with a pyramid mechanism. So you can only buy cards from the bottom of the pyramid, and then the pyramid sort of collapses down and makes more cards available. For a small box deck building card game, this has a lot going on, and I really appreciate those little twists and the choices that you have to figure out in when do I bring cards into my deck, when do I get rid of them, how do I keep that flow going so I can earn points, plus that sort of majority thing. I know you're collecting pink cards, so I want to make sure you don't get all of the pink cards, so I need to take some of those as well. Valley of the Kings, no matter how you store it, is a great game, and it's my number 54.
53.
Merchant of Venus. Classic.
Ba-bum! Merchant of Venus, the standard edition rules. It's been a few years now since Fantasy Flight released this edition of Merchant of Venus, which included not only the classic rules, which I love and are mentioned in the theme song of this series, but also the new standard edition. And while I certainly prefer the classic rules, there's a lot to like in here with the new Fantasy Flight edition. It certainly upgrades the components, and it adds a layer of chrome that can be a lot of fun. There's these dashboards that allow you to plug in technology into your ship, sort of customize your ship. Each planet has its own technology at this point, which opens up some new strategies. You can actually become a taxi service as you fly around space and pick up people from sometimes a good distance. You can use a shuttle and pick up and drop off people. It's still a pick up and deliver. It still has the bones of Merchant of Venus, pick up and deliver in space. But this one I think appeals to more of a sense of adventure. You're heading off into the unknown a lot more with standard Merchant of Venus. And you could get attacked by pirates, or you might manage to find a route or get some windfall that's really going to help you out. And that sense of unknown, I can certainly understand appeals to people. And I still have fun playing this every once in a while. Merchant of Venus, still a terrific game. My number 53.
52. Terraforming Mars.
Number 52 is also new to the list. That is Jacob Frixelius's Terraforming Mars. The more I play this one, the more I enjoy it. There are a lot of cards in this game, and that's really the key to the whole thing. As players, you are trying to terraform Mars, like it says in the title. You have to work together to do that, although you're ultimately competing for points. You are rewarded for increasing the various global parameters on Mars, increasing its temperature, its oxygen content, as well as its oceans. And as you do that, you are moving the game closer to the end. So you're rewarded for doing it in the middle, and that's going to earn you points for doing that and allow you to play more cards from your hand. But it also drives the end game. And once all three of those parameters reach the end, that's going to be the end of the game. I like getting my hand of cards, deciding which I want to purchase, and then figuring out how I'm going to play them and in what order. There are different corporations that give you sort of a focus as to how you want to play your hand, what sort of directions you want to go in. There's just a whole lot of variety here, and now that there's an additional map, the Hellas and Elysium maps, which fit nicely in the box, they're in here as well. That's not too bad. That gives you a little more variety in layouts and different milestones and awards to go for. I think with all of that, you have a lot of playtime in Terraforming Mars. It's my number 52.
51. The Networks.
Let's round out the first 50 with Gil Hova's The Networks from Formal Ferret Games. Another new addition to the list. I know I profess to be a mechanical gamer. I am much happier accepting a deficiency in theme than I am a deficiency in mechanics. But with the right theme, you can really win me over, and The Networks certainly does that. You are running a low-budget cable television station that strives to be more. And you start out with really, really terrible programs. You eventually replace those with better shows and cast actors and directors and advertising to increase your revenue. And the tongue-in-cheek nature of this game is really what pushes it over the edge. Yes, the engine is strong. You're sort of competing for these cards and making them all work and trying to maximize the payout of those shows as they age. And they'll sort of lose viewers as they go, but you can add like an aging famous star to a show to make it more lucrative. But anyway, the ridiculousness of some of these programs, and a lot of them are parody programs, really pushes it over the edge. And ultimately, the fact that there is a U62 card referencing UHF, it's really what does it. It's a great game. The Networks, number 51. So, the volunteers running this thing, amazing that they're putting in all this time and effort to make all these people happy. It's fantastic. Thanks for watching the Top 100. I'll see you next time, and time to play some games.
He's got a voice that's really the bomb. He'll make a choice that'll aggravate Tom. I hate to spoil it, but when all's said and done, Merchant of Venus gonna be number one. Every summer, top one.